So I want to make this video, which is a little bit different from my normal videos, but Scott Adams has just announced that he has very aggressive prostate cancer that has gone through to the bones and it's inoperable. So in his words, and I hope that a miracle will happen, but in his words, he will die in a number of weeks. And he's in consistent pain every single day. Now, as someone who has read a number of Scott Adams' books, including How to Fail at Everything and How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big, it's quite a shock for me. And I wanted to just do a quick tribute to Scott Adams, which is not one of my normal videos, but this is important. What I would say is that Scott Adams will never die, because his legacy is a lot more. His legacy is a lot more than one lifetime. Scott Adams taught us about the skill stack, which is an incredible concept. And if you see this book, I've all markings in this book all over the place. Because of the wisdom, because of the absolute wisdom in this book, I've markings all over it. And I sit down when my children were smaller. I would read them stories instead of reading what Bill and Ben or whatever, the Spot Big Red Dog or whatever it's called. I read Scott Adams because I wanted to read it, but also because they're smart kids, but also I wanted the concept of the skill stack to go into their unconscious. And because it's about stacking skills. Like, one skill doesn't really matter. It's good to have one skill, but it's about stacking a very unique set of skills that makes you different from everyone else on the planet. That you have and in this book he does say that passion is bullshit, but what I would say is you have your passions, your one thing that you want to pursue. You have the thing that you feel excited about and you want to do it. Like, I love making these videos. I feel excited now for making a video. But there's a whole bunch of other skills that I went through. And one of the things that he talks about in this book as well is the concept of failure. That he talks about all kinds of problems and failures that he's gone through. But as you read the book, you begin to realize that he couldn't be where he is. And you might not even know who Scott Adams is, but he's a pretty big deal. But he wouldn't be where he is now if he hadn't got these mind-numbing, soul-crushing failures that were nothing to do with him. You know, medical issues and all kinds of things that happened. Nothing to do with him, like a cartoonist couldn't see. And all kinds of problems he had. But he would have never got to where he got to without these problems coming into his life, it's a really important message, because we all have issues and problems that we have to deal with. I don't care how perfect your life is, how well you're manifesting, but you're going to have issues and problems that come into your life that you have to deal with. And this book talks about going through those mind-numbing things, just moving forward, and it makes a difference. Later on, you're like, wow, okay, I would have never been where I am now if I hadn't gone through those problems. And it's a good read just to put that into your mind. So the skill stack, it's really, 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 really important. And the idea of you're going to hit roadblocks, you're going to hit failure, but it's going to get you to where you need to go if you keep going. And the other thing that's really important in this book is systems instead of goals. Because you hit a goal, let's say a fitness goal, I want a six-pack. Every day you fail in that goal until you get your six-pack. Then when you get your six-pack, it's like, okay, I have it, what's next? But if you work on systems, and this, read it in the book, the book's going to explain it a lot clearer than I will. But if you work on systems, so for example, I'm going to exercise 10 minutes every day, or I'm going to put on my workout gear. If that is the only system you have, at least you're in the gym with your workout gear, or at home with your workout gear, whatever it happens to be. At least you've done something every single day. And then when you're sitting there and you're working gear, you might do 10 minutes, or you might do 20, you might do 30. But at least you have a system that you do every day. And you can achieve that every day. And you can, every day you get a dopamine boost. You know, when you get this dopamine boost, you do one thing good. Because the other thing that's talked about in this book as well is the concept that a tiny little, if you do a tiny little good thing, you get the same good feeling as if you do this amazing, huge thing. So if you do these little tiny dopamine boosts, you're feeling good every single day. And this is what this book is about. It's about systems instead of goals. So my system is every day, like every day you get up, brush your teeth. So why not every day you get up and do 10 minutes exercise? Every day we have these CFTs, which I call them critical focus time, 50-minute slots, that you're going to get one important task done in. But it gives you that same dopamine boost. And I want to say about Scott Adams is that he has touched so many people. He's been a really, really important figure. And Scott Adams will never die, although I hope he genuinely doesn't die. But no matter what happens now, Scott Adams will never, ever die. And maybe there'll be a miracle. I hope there'll be a miracle. But, you know, it hit me when I saw that, and I have to make a video about it. It hit me when I saw that, his diagnosis. And he's known it for a long time, so I guess he's used to the concept, although I don't know how you can get used to the concept of your own death. I always thought I wasn't scared of my own death until my brother almost died, and it really hit me. What a big thing. It's not a big thing until it happens to you. So I don't know how he can say that. He's used to the idea of that. But he did say that. So I've made a number of videos about Scott Adams in the past. One was stepping out on stage with Scott Adams. I'll put them at the end of this if you want to have a look at them. But the interesting thing is at the time I'd be getting 10 views per video, which I was happy with. Like, that people watching my videos is great. But I was getting 10 views per video, and he retweeted one of my videos. And it went like from 10 views to about 5, you know, I don't know what it was, 2,000 or 3,000, which was like, I couldn't believe it. It was like unbelievable. But shows how many people read his tweets, because it was 1%. I imagine he'd retweet. I imagine it was 1% of the people. So if I got like 3,000 views, that means 300,000 people actually saw that tweet. And but the truth is that Scott Adams faces his biggest challenge. He's gone through many, 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 many challenges in his life, and now he faces his biggest challenge of being in immense pain every single day and facing his own immortality. Although for me, he'll be immortal. He'll always be in this book. He'll always be online, and he may be with AI. He may be even more than that, but we may be still able to ask Scott Adams a question. Hey, what do you think about this, Scott Adams? But he's facing his own mortality now, and he's going through his biggest challenge. And we can all, I hope for a miracle. I hope he hopes for a miracle. Who knows what's going to happen? He's not an old man. He shouldn't have cancer right now, and he could easily have another 30 years if he got through this challenge. But who knows? Who knows? None of us can say when our moment is. Maybe I'll die tomorrow. Who knows? But yes, he faces his biggest challenge now. But I want to say, Scott Adams may never see this. He may not, even though he knows who I am because he retweeted one of my videos. But he might never see this. But I wanted to put this out to the universe. And I want to say, Scott, if you ever see this, that yes, you're facing your biggest challenge now and you're facing your own mortality, but you will never die. Because your humour, your personality, your essence will always be here. I'll be able to read it anytime I want. And the magic that was you will always be here on the internet and in your books and in my heart. And I hope that I hope that you're not in. You have some sort of crazy painkillers or making sure you're not in too much pain right now. And thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott, for everything. Thank you for existing. Thank you for writing. Thank you for putting yourself out in the world. Thank you for putting your own dent in the universe. And you will live on. No matter what happens now, you will live on forever. In all of our hearts.